What's up, everybody? You're watching Model Aviator. I'm Adam, and this week we have an episode we actually didn't plan on. Just some fortunate circumstances, all the stars aligned, and here we have a Viper 90 video. So Viper 90 is one of those airplanes that when it came out, I was hot to trot to fly one, and they are super popular. They sell so well, Horizon can't hardly keep them in stock. And everybody raves about that airplane. I haven't found a negative word about it anywhere. And so I'm at the field hanging out with some of my pals, and one of my buddies, Rommel, was there, had his Viper 90 with him, and handed me the transmitter and said, "Here, man, give it a go." But on top of that, he's a videographer. He has a YouTube channel called Desert Fox Productions. He shoots jets, basically ducted fans and turbines. We'll leave a link in the description where you can check Rommel's channel out. He's actually been a guest camera guy for us before, and he is really good at shooting the fast movers. So Rommel, thank you on both counts. A, for letting me fly your awesome airplane, and B, for filming it so we got content for all our great viewers. So that's kind of how this happened. So when it comes to the little mini review part of this, obviously I don't own the airplane, so I didn't see how it was packaged. I didn't assemble it, but I mean, this is Horizon Hobby. Basically, every company has got packing airplanes pretty much figured out. And when it comes to the assembly, Horizon Hobby in particular seems to be driving in a direction to make things as easy as possible. So I can't imagine that the assembly of a Viper 90 is a very complicated affair. When it comes to the flying, though, that is kind of the meat in the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of any review, and I can speak to that, so that's why we're calling this a mini review. Now, it's worth noting a couple of things. I've flown the Viper 70, and to me it was okay. It wasn't spectacular. The gains were too high for my taste on the AS3X. I could definitely tell it was there, and it didn't really have the power that I felt like a good sport jet should have. The other thing to note is I own an 80mm sport jet, and those of you that follow the channel, you'll know what I'm talking about. We did a video on it, and it is the finest sport jet that I've ever flown. It has a great flight envelope from very, very slow to screaming. It has excellent vertical and climb rate, and it is super maneuverable, really locked in. It's just a rock solid airplane when you set it up right, and I love that thing. And I have never found an airplane to date that could compare to that and either perform with it or outperform it in some significant way. Until now. Now that I've flown the Viper 90, now I have to say, to be fair, it doesn't outperform it from a performance standpoint, but airplane for airplane, it is every bit as good. It has the wide flight envelope, it has the vertical and the climb rate, it has the maneuverability, and it's locked in and feels solid with no bad habits. I was very, very impressed with that airplane. Now, when it comes to comparing an 80 to a 90, the one advantage that the 80s have is battery for battery, flight profile for flight profile. You tend to get about a minute longer flight time out of an 80 than you do a 90 if you're using the same pack, which in this case was a 6000 milliamp, and that's the pack I used in my 80. But that's pretty much standard, and it makes sense because the 90s are pulling a lot more amps than the 80s. But that's where the advantages stop for the 80, and the advantages start to come in for the 90 and for the Viper in particular. One thing, it is bigger and heavier, and it has the AS3X, which is tuned very, very well. I couldn't tell it was there. It worked in the background. It didn't annoy me, and that's how a gyro should work to me. The gains are low enough to be useful, but not annoying, and that's cool. So you put that airplane with the AS3X tuned that well in a lot of wind, and it's going to outperform any 80. It's just going to be easier to fly in the wind than any smaller 80 mil or 70 mil jet that you can find, and that makes sense. The other advantages to the Viper 90 in particular is it does come with AS3X and Safe Select, and the Safe Select part is something that can give you the peace of mind of making it your first jet. If you've flown something that is reasonably responsive and pretty aerobatic and you're comfortable with that, going to the Viper 90, maybe dialing the throws down a little bit and having Safe there just in case you need it, is something that is going to make that airplane a very viable choice as a first jet. And then when you grow into it and you really get good with jets, I mean, you'll see you can do anything you want to do with this thing. It is a pretty spectacular performer. The other thing it has is the Avian ESC which gives you all the telemetry if you want to take advantage of that, and also enables you to have reverse, which, to be honest, was something that I kind of thought was pretty hokey and kind of a gimmick until you play with it. And then you play with it, and I have to say, there's just something about backing a jet up that is kind of cool. And it is cool to be able to put the thing on the ground, hammer that reverse thrust, and essentially do a stall landing, which means if you got a really short field or short runway, getting the Viper 90 in and out is going to be something you can actually swing with that reverse. So it is a useful feature, whether you think it's a gimmick or not. So that said, I've talked enough about it. I'm going to leave a link in the description to Rommel's channel. Check his channel out. Got really good content. You'll enjoy it. And I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can go to Horizon's sales page for the Viper 90 if you find yourself interested in thinking that you need one. With that, enjoy this flight. I know I did. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think of this. And we will see you next week with something cool with wings. Take care. Ready?
Landing mode.